Well, hello, and welcome back to yet another video. Hopefully, daily encouragement. A little bit of a different sort of video today, though. What I wanted to do was discuss, of all things, an actual podcast that I saw online. It was an interview with the actor director uh, known as Rainn Wilson. If you're a TV fan, he played Dwight on the TV show The Office that was on NBC. He's had many other roles, and by no means am I intending to promote his TV works or anything like that. I'm not even promoting necessarily the host of the interview or the podcast. The actual broadcast was made by the website A Diary of a CEO is the name of the actual YouTube channel that the video was on. But I happened to catch there was a little link available for me one time when I was looking at some YouTube videos, and I was intrigued. I just said, it was interesting because the title of the video was, I was so unhappy during The Office. Now, I will tell you, if you're one that's anti crude language, don't watch the interview. It's not like intended to be a bunch of just bad language back and forth, but there's no filter on this one, and so there are some bad words that are spread throughout. So if you're very sensitive eared, I wouldn't recommend you listen to this. But there were a couple of things that came up in listening to this interview that I found very interesting, that I found very practical. And of course, being that this channel, these videos are all about daily encouragement, I thought it would be something to go over. By no means am I trying to play off of his either one of these folks' celebrityhood or anything like that. Again, trying to be encouraging and honestly trying to even apply basic principles, biblical principles, to some of the things that were said in the interview, and I think that you'll find it interesting. What I'm going to do is go over a couple of the chapters. The way the interview is set up is it is broken up into chapters, different questions that were brought up by the interviewer. Again, as far as the techniques and the smoothness of the interview, the back and forth, I was quite intrigued by even the transparency of Mr. Rainn Wilson and in the way he presented just his beliefs and stuff about his life. I was really kind of intrigued and was really wanting to know more as we were going along. So I'm going to still try to keep this within my 10-minute frame, so let's see how we can do. Now, the goal of this is not to just rehash everything that came up in the interview, too. If you're really intrigued, then by all means, feel free to go ahead and listen to it. But just a couple points I wanted to bring up. The first thing in reading, or not reading, listening to the interview, it's something that came up quite often throughout the interview, was that Rainn kept referring to the spiritual, or he called himself a spiritual person. Now, I know he mentioned early on his belief system, and it's not your common Christianity term that you would have been used to hearing about, but there were some tenets in there I thought were really intriguing that he comes to later on in the story, talking about the importance, for him at least, to be able to reconnect with those roots later on, as he struggled, as he was growing up, struggled with how he identified himself, connecting and all. And it was really intriguing watching this podcast and actually going over an article I had read this week referring to the youth and why it is that some of our churches today lose the connection with the youth. And one of the points that was brought up was that our youth find connections, stronger connections, outside of the church setting. Well, as Rainn was talking during his interview, he did find things. Now, some of it were drugs and alcohol. Some of it for him was actually in theater. uh, when he got involved in acting. He even said in high school that's where he connected with girls and became one of the cool people as he went to a new school. I thought it was interesting that he found that the relationship of the spiritual was what really connected him to finding contentment or like happiness in life or so. Maybe he didn't use the word happiness. I don't want to put words in his mouth, but there was an importance to the idea of the spiritual relationships. And I think it's the same for you and I, Christian. The important part of your relationship is your relationship with Jesus Christ. And if you don't have that there, if you have a void, it'll be recognized in the way that you lead and live your life. So, um, he struggled with depression, anxiety, some trauma that he grew up with as a child, and some of the things, which again, my goal is not to rehash it, but it showed that even some of the most famous people in the world deal with trouble and deal with problem in their childhood. That's not to minimize anybody's. It's not to make someone's more important than someone else's. It's just to say you're not alone in this. And there are people out there I know that are hurting, that are struggling in life, and they feel like they're alone and nobody can understand and no one can sympathize. And I just want to tell you that that's not true. There are people that can help you. Um, he was asked, about what did he learn from his childhood trauma, and one of the things he struggled with was actually in how he dealt with things. There was anger, there was pain, there was the term that we use, and I don't like it, it's such a negative term, but it's a term baggage. There's stuff that you're dealing with that's impacting you in the here and now, and if you don't deal with it, it'll stay with you. And it's something that he referred to quite a bit in his story. Um, he had lost a parent, and there was relationships he didn't have. He even talked about losing other loved ones in his life. He talked about the birth of a child and his son and how it impacted him. Um, I think the part that got me caught in, though, there were two things. One, he talked about the mental aspect of life. I do believe that there is a mental piece that we can't ignore when it comes to life. There is a there are mental hurdles and responsibilities in dealing with those that if you don't deal with them, I think life will be so much harder. Uh, Obviously, look at what we just covered in our last couple videos, talking about having the mind of Christ. It wasn't having the actions of Christ, but it literally was the idea of having a right mindset. Now, if you have trouble getting into that mindset, then you need help, and it's okay to seek help and to find someone that's going to help you get a grasp of the things you need to so that you can keep going forward. So, aside from that point there, the last one I really want to hit on and harp on for these last couple minutes was that when he was doing the TV show The Office, would you believe that he said that he was unhappy during The Office? Now, was it with what was going on in the show? Not necessarily. Was it with the other actors? Not necessarily. It was, as he put it, the mental side of things and how he wanted more. See, when he was talking about doing The Office, there wasn't the connection with his spiritual. There wasn't the connection with that spiritual side of life that he had mentioned, he had talked about. For you, Christian, you do understand that if you don't have Christ in that spot, if you don't have that right relationship, no amount of money, and he said he was making money, no amount of success, and obviously he was on one of the most successful TV shows that has existed in our time, and had the popularity and the fame. But no. Now he said he would what he said he would kept driving for was more success. Was let me try to do movies, or let me try to hit a bigger show, or a bigger achievement, a bigger accomplishment. And he said it was never the thing that provided him that ultimate happiness, that ultimate success. What was it that brought it for him? And it actually has a chapter, what would be the cure for chronic dissatisfaction? I'm going to tell you that it's to relationship with Jesus Christ, because then you get out of your own way. Then you stop focusing on the me and the my and what can I get, what can I have, and you focus on how am I helping others. And it's something he discussed there, was the idea of talking and working with others and helping others. See, I mentioned this whole entire podcast not because I'm promoting the podcaster, although he seems to be a respectable person, not because of Rainn Wilson, even though he seemed to be a caring person, although, I may not probably be at a church that he would go to, and he may not go to church I go to. But he understood the importance of his spiritual being. You that's watching this video today, do you understand the importance of your spiritual being? Do you understand how important that is for you? Anyway, hit my 10-minute mark, and I don't want to keep you late. I told you guys one of my strongest goals is to try to keep it on time. So, but if you get the chance today, maybe think about it. Think about what is your connection like with God today? Are you talking with him? Are you praying with him, to him? Are you asking and receiving some of the gifts that he has for you? Hopefully it's been an encouragement for you. I was encouraged by the fact that a celebrity who, like I said, I may not agree with him on his religious beliefs, or he agree with me on mine, but he explained in his interview, in his podcast, the podcast he was in, a lot about the importance of a spiritual relationship. Now, like I said, I may not agree with how he defines his spiritual relationship, but hopefully, if you have questions about your spiritual relationship, definitely feel free to drop a line, and I'll do what I can to help and hopefully get you in the right path. Anyway, I appreciate you taking time to watch this video. I know it's kind of different, kind of strange, but I hope it's been an encouragement for you. Till the next time, have a great day.